Full Sense winning to win this one?
Underdog story.
Ah, okay, I
No.
see. I see.
No, I'm kidding. So I feel like Full Sense has a bit of an underperformance recently up against Mir and Sejong yesterday, and even up against the likes of like Blacklist International in week number 2. But I feel like, you know what, Full Sense, they still stand a chance. You know what, if there is a time for them to be able to find their footing, it's against the best of the best. Yes,
Okay.
yes. You
But
feel
you know
me?
what? You know what I'm gonna say though. One of the players coming in from ONIC though. Well, they're not playing this time though. Solo, Solo from ONIC Rise has some messages. Has a message. Join in the rewards program that we've had. You know, the giveaway. Saying that Evos is his goats. You know, not even their own teammate, but Evos. You know, so really amazing to see how, you know, these players are what do you call this? What was the term? Supporting each other. There we go. That's the term.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. Like, the support system is definitely well accepted with open arms. But jumping in game number 1 here, you have Zacian, Eldegoss, and Finn by Full Sense. And for ONIC Rise, a very well drafted, at least balanced composition thus far. Having the Miraidon, having the Urshifu, and then the Garchomp. I would have expected like a Snorlax more if they want to really go for the likes of the Urshifu and the Garchomp, because it does mend well with these two Pokemon. But nevertheless, Trevenant gives a lot of utility and gives a lot of hindrances in those team fights.
Oh yeah, and you know, Trevenant, as we've seen earlier, has been quite helpful, especially at the right time, to the right timing as well. Especially with its what do you call this, Woodhammer and Hornleech as well. You know, allowing the other teams to just really do some hits as well. But as we say that, it seems as if, you know, it did not work earlier, but it seems that they're going to be trying it out once again. And this time, though, for the first time in today, we're not going to be seeing the Mewtwo Y, but instead goes in for the Mewtwo X with Spoo.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, right? If we're going to look at the draft, I think, yes, they have enough of that tanking capability with a Zacian available into their lineup, but not having a defender, just full centric around, like having like Mimikyu, having Mewtwo X, and Zacian as damage dealers along with the Greninja, this is going to kind of crumble their composition quite a bit, because there is no like innate tank and innate defender to be in their composition, with the likes of Snorlax that can do a lot of setup, that can do a lot of engages, and that can tank a bit of damage into a composition. So we'll see how Full Sense will be able to do things around, because Greninja has been picked up once.
Right. I mean, I guess the main key thing here, the main and key thing. Sorry, redundant. Anyway, so the key thing here for Full Sense is that I think what they're trying to do here is, as I mentioned, they have no innate tank, defender Pokemon, but at the very least, right, like Zacian and Mewtwo X, if and only if. So here's the thing. If and only if it gets its Unite move, its Mega Evolution rather, that is when it becomes a tank, attacking tank. There we go. Into the side of a Full Sense. I guess that's also the reason why they went in for Mewtwo X instead of going for Mewtwo Y, because if we're talking about backlane damage, they already have the Greninja anyway, right? So despite it being squishy, it still serves as a backlaner, as a mage, how they would say it, right? For the composition of Full Sense, with that of the Zacian as the frontliner and Mewtwo X as being the tank. But again, it's a huge if, and it's very situational. Only when it gets its what do you call this, Mega Evolution. But into the side of ONIC though, they have Miraidon at the back, you know, Charge being really amazing move as well, and they have some form of what do you call this, hindrances as well, with Mr. Mime being the support, and of course having access to Showtime, you know, knocking up Pokemon instead of Full Sense one by one. If they do so get hit by the radius of Showtime, it's going to provide a lot of annoyance into the side of Full Sense, and perhaps and possibly allow ONIC Rise to take control of the match later on.
Yeah, and ONIC Rise right now is on a good state. They're really just holding their position. thing, not as much aggression that we see so often coming down into the early stage of the matchup. Because the thing is, these two composition doesn't really speak and doesn't shout early aggression, early
Right,
fights,
both of them
early
really.
team battles. Not exactly. It still takes time for these teams to be able to reach that point of power.
Yeah, I mean it's both of them really, and it's we're gonna be seeing definitely a very slow match here for this one in specific, provided that they have a a mid game startup kind of competition for both of the teams. We might be able to see some poking here and there, but not a full fledged match or at least a dominance. Not quite yet. Still the early game, and as we can see here, there's one KO, sure, a bit of a score here, levels 7 points here for the side of ONIC Rise, but nothing major just yet.
Yeah, definitely nothing major. ONIC is going with the 7 points. That's not that drastic, right? And just getting a couple of KOs in, that is really good coming from ONIC side. But these points is just giving a little bit of that XP lead for the likes of ONIC Rise temporarily in the early game. But for now, it's very important to take note where ONIC Rise is rotating, especially right now.
Oh, look at that, though. Oh, my goodness. Muraido's going to be taken out into the process, but at the same time, we have the Zacian out as well. 1-for-1 trade in favor of no one. Both of them was able to get something off of that bit of a skirmish. As we've mentioned, like, there's definitely going to be some attacks here and there, but nothing too major. Not just yet, not until the first huge objective comes up. But here we go. The Mega Evolution, Mega Mewtwo X is going to be popped up as well, and this is the time when it becomes an attacking tank. But even then, right, the thing is, it doesn't have any reinforcement, it doesn't have any Pokemon to back it up. It's alone, so it's not they're not going to be able to make use or fully utilize Mewtwo X without anyone in their side. So just like that, you can see how ONIC was able to well, use numbers to power through the Mewtwo X.
Yeah, for sure. And now, ONIC Full Sense going for the handshake here. I believe Full Sense was able to take down the objective onto the top pad, and ONIC going in for the bottom pad, Reggie bottom as well. So far, 1-for-1, and Full Sense gains a huge lead just from that Reggie Alecki.
Oh, well, it's not going to be Charge Beam, it's going to be Electro Drift, and they were able to drift through the Mewtwo. And just like that, ONIC still has the lead in terms of XP, but Full Sense is the one leading in terms of points. As you can see as well, a little bit of backup up top there. That is going to be the Garchomp with 39 points, now at level 9 as well, ready to take on that Mewtwo. See, that's the thing, that's the biggest equal fighter against that of Mewtwo X. That is the Garchomp. So if it goes 1v1 against these two Pokemon, I have no doubts that Garchomp is going to be the one winning, especially when it has its life steal with the cleans of its attacks. But as we say that, we are going to be seeing a bit of some skirmish here, a little bit of poking here with that Zacian and the Garchomp.
Yeah, and now ONIC just going through and just finding opportunities. I think the biggest opportunity here for ONIC would definitely be the tier 1 goal zone in the bottom side, and even the top side as well. They haven't brought down anything yet, and despite not taking any tier 1 goal zone at this stage of the game in 5 minutes, I think this will play very well later on if this keeps up. If this type of point system matches up until the late 2-minute mark, because it's an easy access for ONIC down the road.
Oh, I totally agree with you. But with that being said, though, we're still going to be seeing a little bit of poking here. As we can see, like, it's quite slow of a match for this time. Nobody really wants to push in. Well, considering their composition isn't really for going in on a team fight, it is really going to be a slow one. Electro Drift is going to be popped up here, followed through by that of the Urshifu, but Totem Cloud Crash is going to be used just to get away from those attacks. But the Bright Future Meteor Storm is going to be popped up as well. Going to be able to take down that Greninja, the very squishy Greninja at 50. It's not going to be enough to deal a lot of damage, as ONIC was able to secure that Reggie Rock for themselves. Handshake.
Yeah, it is. And ONIC right now just going into play defense on top side, dissuading the Regieleki to reach the tier 2 goal zone. And then you have the Trevenant just dunking in 6 points into the bottom path, closing in the gap. Only of a 2-point difference at this stage. But once again, you're seeing a lot of pressure now from ONIC Rise in top lane.
Right, and look at that though. ONIC Rise wants to destroy the first score goal, and they did. But just going back to what Trevenant did, as you mentioned, there's like what 5-6 points. I believe that just gives us the information, us and Full Sense information that Illinois here with the Trevenant still doesn't have full stacks. That's why they want to score in even the sliver of points here, which puts them in just like what 2 points behind. But this time, as they were able to destroy the first score goal, they are now currently the lead with that like 62 points, right? Yeah, 62 points. Yeah, I'm confident. Yeah.
Yeah. Quick mats coming in from JJ Kuhn. But yeah, it's around, exactly 62 points on a Rise. Currently he's just playing in for defense. Now you have the Reggie top going on in 20 seconds. Without Reggie Alecki, I believe like both these teams wants to go for it at the very least, just deny it out from each other, because it's still a lot of pressure if we're gonna think about it. And then you have the Reggie bottom, which I think is something that ONIC Rise would want as well.
Oh, Electro Drift. Trick Room, Shadow Claw is not going to be enough for you to handle Electro Drift into the Wicked Blow. But at the very least, Full Sense was able to punish them through, going to be able to take down two Urshifu and the Miraidon in exchange for taking out their own Mimikyu. And just like that, Full Sense is now going to be able to secure the Reggie Elect for themselves and to provide a bit of a pressure up top for ONIC Rise, giving them a bit of some time, some space to get ready for the Rayquaza.
Yeah, and definitely is the Reggie Rock being taken away by ONIC Rise gives him a huge advantage here, as you have the Rayquaza coming up in 10 seconds. So it will be a moment's time before it comes up. But what I love coming in for Full Sense here is that they're really just pouring in every XPs onto Greninja, already sitting at level 14. So this will be the key here for Full Sense into winning the battle up against ONIC Rise.
Oh yeah, and now ONIC Rise might not doesn't have that huge of a lead, so they have to really defend this Rayquaza, because if it gets stolen away from them or if they get taken out, then that's going to provide them such a huge deficit. But with that being said, Phantom Force is going to be popped up as well into Psychic Cyborg, but they're going to bring two down into side, so they make that one rather into the side of Full Sense. They'll make that two, now no three, no four, and now only the Eldegoss is up left. Still not a team wide, going to be putting down 80 points down bottom. But then again, ONIC Rise has the advantage, does have the secure into that of the shiny Rayquaza without anyone stopping them. They are now just going to be running for the points.
Yeah, and with that said, having the Rayquaza gives them a massive advantage, going in for those dunks, and now more than double the amount that Full Sense currently have. And this will pretty much just play for the defense from ONIC Rise from here on forward. And Full Sense, even then, is still lacking in terms of points accumulation stacked upon in each and every single one. Huge amounts of damage coming from Miraidon. That's insane.
Yeah, that is definitely insane, because there's what 3-4 Pokemon into the side of Full Sense trying to push through, and only two into the side of ONIC Rise. That is of course the Urshifu, sorry, not Urshifu, but the Miraidon and the Garchomp, and still was able to take down one. But to be fair, that was the Greninja. That is already too squishy for its own good. But with that being said, though, Zoe is going to be putting in another 100 points in it, just to finally guarantee and secure the win. And here we have it. The Urshifu still has a Rayquaza buff. They're putting 56 points. There we go. Never mind. 100 points to put them at 700.
I can't calculate that fast. You're the mathematician. I'm just like
I wish.
I'm just like a high lane trainer just catching Pokemons. But yeah, ONIC Rise taking that game number 1, fantastic win with a little bit of a close matchup at the very beginning before Rayquaza. If we're gonna look at the graph, it's very close between these two teams. So at the least, we're tipping our hats on to Full Sense on keeping that pace, right? Only a difference of round like 5th. Really started to play really well. Even the future Meteor Storm coming in from Miraidon can act up as a set engage for ONIC Rise for those fights. Now for full sense, if we're gonna consider it, it's all about just play with me onto a single target.
Right.
Hot on cloud crash that takes time to be able to go down and go for those hindrances, which also takes time. So yeah, it's something that has to be changed. It's something that has to fill in terms of those team fights, and especially if you're having that huge dependency on the Rayquaza down the road.
And at the same time, like just to add into what you said, they might have Sovereign Sword coming in from that of the Zacian, but the thing is, Zacian, you still have to charge it. That's one of the moves that you have to charge as well. And Zacian being one of the Pokemon that requires you, just like Ho-Oh, requires you to have a lot of points for you to fully utilize. It's one of the only AoE attacks that they have, and even then, for the side of yeah, sure, there's the Infinite Cyber and whatever Shuriken, sure, but at least for ONIC, it's not only damage that they're putting up, it's also the what call it, the crowd control, right? The hindrances, as you have mentioned. Even Fist, Livid Outrage can knock up, even Fist can knock up as well. Phantom Forest can knock up, and Showtime can stun and knock up rather opponents as well, allowing others to push in a lot of damage, even more so than just pure damage, I'd say. But the thing is, you can use full damage if you can make it hit. That's a key thing, though. If you can make it hit.
We'll see what the adjustments are going to be here. ONIC Rai is now going in for a similar look, but with a change of Sarah Ledge instead, going into their graph with the Miraidon as well as the Garchomp. As for full sense, I'm loving this a little bit better, right? They went for the Crustle. They need those setup plays. The Rock Tomb is definitely going to help them a lot better in terms of tanking the front lines and having the damage go into the likes of Mimikyu and the Sylveon. Now for ONIC Rise, this is very different. This is one of the first times that we're going to see Blastoise coming into Asia Champions League 2025.
Right, and I mean, it's one of the reasons why is that there's I keep on saying this, there's more viable option, but in this composition in particular, I'd say Blastoise is a really good pick here, especially with its look at the Surf. I'm pretty sure it's going to be going in for the Surf, not Rapid Spin. Water Spout, mainly because of the fact that they already have the Garchomp, they already have the Cerulege, which by the way you're going to be seeing for the first time for today. Blastoise, I believe, is the first time for the entire tournament of the Southeast Asia Champions League. But then again, it does provide a lot of pushbacks, a lot of crowd control, not crowd control, but just pushing them back with Surf. And Hydro Pump as well, pushbacks into the side of the just like block, right? But this time though, it's just one-time thing. That's the thing, and just pushing back opponents allows Cerulege to have a bit more breathing room as well in comparison to what's needed by Garchomp, because Garchomp, that's the thing. That's the clash between the two. The Blastoise pushes away opponents. Garchomp needs to pull in the opponents. So they really need to time this right, but that then still allows Cerulege to have a bit of a breathing room for it to put down its Reverent Rend without getting stopped.
Yeah. Though honestly speaking, initially I was thinking about like Spin Toys coming in for Blastoise.
Spin Toys, really?
The Water Spout,
Rapid
Spin, just to stack up on that AoE damage in those team fights. So yeah, but I definitely do understand what your point of view. The thing is, it's only Blastoise that's going to be the defender, so having that extra utility with Hydro Pump and Surf definitely makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that is going to be the case as well, right? Like, if Blastoise is going to be Water Spout, Rapid Spin, kind of like, move that, then that only means that they wouldn't have a tank, if that makes sense. I mean, sure, they still have Hydro Typhoon, but that means that they have to wait for their Unite move, right?
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, it's just a food for thought, right? This
can
go either way. Just because it's the first time that we're seeing Blastoise coming into Asia Champions League 2025, because in the past there's just a lot of viable options. Typically we see that Spin Toys occur in terms of the movesets, and even the Hydro Pump Surf options as well is there, but that is into consideration of a double defender setup in those in that meta before.
Not even when Paper Rex, right? I believe that was day number 4. Wait, no, 3. Yeah. It wasn't even when Paper Rex went in for the full defender. They didn't even use Blastoise. So really, it's not just in Asia Champions League. It's not just in Asia, but for the rest of the world as well. Honestly, we haven't seen Blastoise for a huge number of patches.
Yeah. So right, we'll see how this less like ONIC Rise is on a good start here.
Mhm.
You have 37 points already for ONIC Rise, and then you have Gabite already reaching that second evolution. And you also have War Turtle already set as well. So it's still gonna take time for them to be able to reach their full power potential, and Full Sense should capitalize on that as well. Mimikyu overextending though, that's a bit of a surprise.
Now this is going to be a problem now for Full Sense. Eeyore with the Ceruledge now at level 7 does have access to Psycho Cut and Flame Charge if they choose for Flame Charge, or Phantom Force. But regardless of which, they now have both of their upgrades in terms of their moves. So really, they cannot they cannot be too careful around Eeyore with that of the Ceruledge. With that being said, though, Full Sense still wants to get their XPs. Terra Rock B here does have a level 6 into that of the Zacian, going to be able to push down the first score goal instead of ONIC Rise. And just like that, that is going to be the first one down for this match. AXQ, though, wants to push in some points, and they would. Nautizad, though, is going to be taken out by that of the Miraidon with the help of their teammates into the Electro Drift.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see. But Full Sense definitely still acting up here, and 90 points already. It's just a lot of these back and forths. We talked about how ONIC Rise needs to buy time here. Reaching that level 9 for that final Garchomp still is something of a necessity as one of the conditions here for ONIC Rise to reach that pinnacle of power in this matchup up against Full Sense. So Full Sense really just capitalizing their advantage here in their game.
Now here we go. That is going to be the Surf Blastoise, as we mentioned, into the Hydro Pump as well. But still not at level 9. Still not going to be able to put down as much crowd control as possible. Not without Hydro Typhoon, but it doesn't matter. They're going to be able to take down 2 in the process. Full Sense with that of the Crustle. And of course, their Zacian is going to be going down, and now outnumbering them as well. ONIC Rise finally takes down one more Mimikyu down as well. And look at that, another 7 points here for that of the Blastoise. Just a little bit more XP before it can have access to its, a Hydro Typhoon Unite move. And that is what they're trying to do. And I guess that's one of the reasons why Blastoise hasn't been picked a lot as well. Just like Garchomp, it takes a while to get its level, and we usually see Blastoise gets its level 9 at 5-minute mark, and that is what's happening right now. It's still at level 8 here, still doesn't have its Unite move ready.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the problems as well before, right? And even then, it was a lot further to be able to reach the final evolution in the past. Now it has been a little bit better, but still the same thing. It takes a bit of time. I think that is what ONIC Rise has to bank on. But nevertheless, despite this disadvantage, they're still on the lead of 11 points up against Full Sense.
And at the same time, right, it's not only that, it's also the XP lead as well, and that's what I'm talking about. Hydro Typhoon, but unfortunately they were able to inject one out, and the Corner Cloud Crash just essentially dissipates any damage and knockups coming in from that of the Hydro Typhoon. Beautiful play, beautiful micro decisions coming from that of Full Sense, but still was able to was still able to take down that Mimikyu and just push away Full Sense, despite it not doing a lot of damage. Ilona with the Hydro Typhoon was still able to repel away Full Sense, and making use of Hydro Typhoon not as a knock-up, not as a crowd control, but rather as a utility to push them away.
Yeah, now you have Blastoise going for the serve into the bottom side. You have the Hydro Pump as well to push them back. That's really good coming in from ONIC Rise, and this is what we've mentioned. Once the Garchomp reaches the final evolution, once Blastoise has the Unite move, this will be the time for ONIC Rise to find so much value in return.
Oh wow! Now I can see the combination here, Ilona. And you see that? That was beautiful. That was beautiful. See, for those who doesn't know as well, that kind of interaction, Surf coming from that of Blastoise, if you hit your opponent with Surf, right, and then it hits a wall, it actually stuns the Pokemon in comparison to when it does not. So with the combination of Zoe with Barrier, And of course, Surf. It it makes a temporary wall for you to essentially
Oh,
uh,
denied.
denied as well. There we go. Another one gonna be a Mimikyu. Gonna be taken out again. They are always taking out that Mimikyu for themselves, and just like that, the Blast is gonna be taken out as well. 1-for-1 trade for both of the teams. But as I was saying, it creates a temporary wall for you to what do you call this? Push your opponents away and stun them. And Mr. Mime with confusion does the same thing.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful interaction. It's an incredible job ONIC Rise has done this. But a while ago on that team fight, did you notice like the Hydro Typhoon, I believe, denied by the MMQ's Unite move as well, which is
Right.
really unfortunate because ONIC Rise was hoping for that win on that team fight. But nevertheless, now ONIC Rise still sustaining their advantage with 76 points. I think. Yes.
Yeah.
36 point lead up against Full Sense. I'm not that good in math. I think JJ Kun is the
I tried, dude.
brainiac. Yeah, JJ Kun's the brainiac here.
But then again, that's what we're talking about, right? Like, for those who doesn't know as well, if your Pokemon Unite move has a bound status, you can essentially overwrite any Pokemon. And as you have mentioned, right, like it essentially countered Hydro Typhoon because Hydro Typhoon only puts Blastoise in unstoppable status. But since playing with me Unite move is bound, then it's definitely going to be cancelled.
Yeah, really unfortunate. We'll see. Rayquaza now being started up.
Ooh.
Secure and ONIC Rise will lock it in.
You're going to be able to secure the Rayquaza. That was very quick of ONIC Rise. Now they can just score in all day. There you go. 101. They're leading by 222. We'll come later. But there we go. As we say that, 200, more than 200 points are going to be on the lead here into the side of ONIC Rise. They just need to defend this, or at least try to maintain this lead, because Full Sense still does have one more full minute to catch up.
Yeah, although it will take some time. If we're gonna look at the stack points of Full Sense, they have nothing. They only have like 13. You have 3 points. So really, it will be a difficult time for them, despite having like a bit of time to be able to make it back. There's still 150 point difference between these two sides.
And look at that, though. We have HQ as well. Cell, rather, going to be able to score in another hundo here. But even if Full Sense is going to be able to, put in a little bit of score down bottom, still going to be enough for them to catch up against that of ONIC Rise. And now another one here, you're back capping another hundo points here, essentially guaranteeing in them the win for this match. Man, it's quite a huge deficit for Full Sense. There's a huge gap against these two teams, and ONIC Rise just shows how much they have been rising up from the ashes from the last few days.
Yeah, 627 points to finish it off. To close it off for ONIC Rise, a massive point lead that they were able to attain, and add that extra 27 points to further up the lead here for ONIC Rise to close up the series, winning Game 2 at a 2-0 sweep against Full Sense.
There you go. Once again, congratulations to ONIC Rise for winning this match against that of Full Sense. Unfortunately for Full Sense, though, they not going to be winning anything for today, because they also lost against of Evo's Onyx earlier in the day. So unfortunate for them. But then again, they still have one more match to catch up by day number 6. But with that being said, though, ONIC Rise, quite a dominant fashion, winning game number 2.
Yeah, they won it, and I think ONIC Rise is just sustaining their massive amount of lead